Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Lee Kisnorbo. We warmly welcome the family of Private John Justin O'Leary, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony around Australia. This evening, wreaths will be laid by family and visitors at the base of the Pool of Reflection. Please stand and join in the singing of the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private John Justin O'Leary. Popularly known as Jack, John O'Leary was the fourth son of Daniel and Sarah O'Leary. He was born in Petersburg, South Australia, on the 31st of July 1892. His father served as the head teacher at the Petersburg State School for 9 years before moving his family to Crystal Brook, where he was appointed head teacher at the government school. He died 2 years later when Jack was 10 years old, after going out in the cold to get the results of the state election. As a young man, O'Leary went to Broken Hill, where he worked in the post office for several years. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in October 1915, a year after his elder brother Emmett, and was posted to the 32nd Battalion. He underwent a period of training in Australia before being sent for overseas service, arriving in Egypt in March 1916. He continued his training there and was sent with his battalion to France in June 1916 to fight on the Western Front. Shortly after its arrival, the 32nd Battalion was in billets near the front line in the Fleury sector. Parties from the battalion were sent to gain valuable experience of the front line. They were away from the heaviest fighting, but it was still dangerous, and O'Leary was shot in the right side, back and arm. He was evacuated to hospital in England and served on staff there for over a year after his recovery. Private O'Leary did not return to the Western Front until early 1918, rejoining his battalion in the field in January. 2 weeks later, the battalion was in the front line near Warnerton in Belgium. Although it was a quiet sector of the line, O'Leary was killed in action on the 13th of February 1918. He was buried at the Messine Ridge British Cemetery, aged 25. O'Leary's mother eagerly awaited the return of his personal belongings and was disappointed to not get back the chain and cross her son wore around his neck. She had placed them around his neck on the last morning she saw him. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died during the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We will now remember Private John Justin O'Leary, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and good evening.